Let's be real, home upgrades and renovations are expensive, but making your space look high-end doesn't have to be. Today, I'm sharing a bunch of home hacks that completely elevated our builder-grade home on a budget. Some of these were under $20, and honestly, they have all made a huge difference in our home. So, if you're looking for affordable ways to make your space feel more custom, cozy, and designer-inspired, this is the right video for you. Tip number 1 is a super fast and easy switch. Literally, actually. It's to upgrade your light switch covers and outlet plates. You'd be shocked at how much these tiny little details can level up a room. In our kitchen, we swapped out these basic builder grade white plates for these gold ones to match the rest of the room. The shiny lacquered gold accents the hardware on our oven, fridge, and on our cabinets, and it instantly pulled the whole space together. But it really makes the space feel so much more custom and intentional. These plates were only about $5 from Home Depot too. We also did this on our oak wood island. We got the same type of red oak wood for these outlet covers, and then we just finished it with the same polyacrylic top coat that we used on the rest of the island, so it kind of matched a little bit better. We didn't stain this island, by the way. We just left it natural as is, so there's no stain on it. But if we did stain it, we would just use the same color stain for the wooden plates too. But if new plates aren't in the budget for you, try painting them the same color and sheen as your wall so they disappear into the background and are less likely to stand out. It's one of those subtle upgrades that makes your space feel more designed and less like a builder grade home. I always use primer first to help the paint stick to the smooth, shiny texture of the plate. This is a really important step and it keeps the paint from chipping off. And then I just roll on small, light layers of paint until the pigment matches the wall color. You may have to let it dry a few times and go back in with more light coats of paint until the paint blends in seamlessly with the color of the wall. Tip number 2, one of my favorite and easiest upgrades that we've done that probably has made one of the biggest impacts in our overall home. It's adding in window trim. This is hands down one of our favorite upgrades because it adds so much charm and character to the overall space. Here in Colorado, it's not standard for new build homes to come with window trim. Why, I will never know. But I also never knew what a huge impact it cast on a room. Without window trim, each room felt bare and almost unfinished overall until we added it into our house. We used to just have plain drywall around our windows, and now we have a custom look that brings in so much character, but of course on a budget. This elevates the look of each room and is a great way to maintain a cohesive look all throughout the house. We went for a simple craftsman style trim using 1x3 and 1x2 boards. We framed out the sides first and then added a horizontal top board with a small ledge piece on top for a classic look. We used a 1x7 inch board for the sill, which hung over the existing drywall about 2 inches. And then we added another 1x3 board underneath it to finish off the ledge. You don't need any fancy cuts for this, by the way, just straight edges and a nail gun. You could even measure all the pieces you need in advance and have them cut at Lowe's, Home Depot, or your local hardware store. Once everything is installed, we filled the nail holes, sanded everything smooth, caulked all the seams, and then we primed and painted it. That finishing work is really key, and it's what makes the trim look built in and seamless and like it already came with the house. We used unfinished pine boards and did all the sanding and priming ourselves to save on cost overall. But if you're working with pre-primed trim, it's even easier. Each window cost us under $25 each to do, and the impact, so worth it. Next tip is to use large-scale artwork to fake architecture. If your walls are feeling flat or bare, oversized artwork is a hack that adds instant drama and changes the entire vibe of the space. We use this large magnolia tapestry in our living room. The scale of it makes the room feel grander, like there's actual architecture or built-ins behind it, even though this wall is super basic and bare. Because it's a tapestry and isn't fully framed with wood all the way around, and it's not a full canvas, and that makes it a lot more affordable and lighter in weight, which also makes it easier to mount. You don't have to spend a fortune on this either. You could also DIY a large canvas using wood, fabric, or even find a thrifted canvas that you don't love and just paint it. Just keep it big, simple, and neutral to get that elevated designer look. Oversized art tricks the eye into thinking the space has more depth and intention, and it's such a great way to make your home feel high-end without doing a thing to the actual walls. One little thing that has been a huge help when hanging big artwork like this, or building anything really, is this little level tool. This is by the brand Fantic, who's also sponsoring this little portion of this video. What's cool about this is it casts a 100% self-leveling laser to make all of your DIY projects, like hanging stuff on the wall, 10 times easier. The internal pendulum laser inside can level itself with a 4-degree angle. So depending on where you set this up, the laser can level itself to be perfectly straight, making the projection nice and level for you in the unlocked mode. But you can also choose to lock the laser if you want it to balance itself. We use this for our master bathroom renovation. This came in handy when we were tiling to make sure each tile was placed evenly with one another. We're also in the middle of a closet renovation right now, so this has helped ease our minds when it comes to the placement of the built-in closet system overall. Since the laser has that cross projection, it means you get the perfect accurate lines vertically and horizontally. That is also clutch for shelving, picture frames, and pretty much mounting anything. I believe right now it's 15% off, and you can also use code KenzieD2 at checkout, and that knocks an additional 10% off for you. So you can get this for right around $28, which honestly is a really good price in my opinion. I will be sure to leave this sweet little laser gadget down below in the description box. If you want your home to instantly feel more high-end, upgrade the lighting. It is seriously a game changer. We've done this in lots of spaces in our home. Like, we replaced this old can light in our bedroom with this beautifully woven hanging fixture. The texture and color of this guy just completes the entire room and was a really easy switch out that instantly made a huge impact on the overall space. Another example is in our master bathroom. We swapped out the basic vanity lights for these gold sconces, and it completely changed the room. It feels so much warmer, cozier, and way less sterile than the bright overhead lights that come standard in most builds. I also find that sconces like this usually run cheaper than the larger above mirror bathroom fixtures. If you don't want to hardwire the lights, or you want to add in more lighting to a space where previous wires are non-existent, you definitely have options. In our living room, we went one step further and added these fluted gold wall sconces, but here's a hack. We actually cut the cords off. We skipped the hardwiring altogether, and we replaced the bulbs with these battery-powered puck lights from Amazon. They're remote controlled, or you can just press them and turn them on and off, so no electrician is needed and no visible wires, which always looks good. You can use the same trick for hallway lighting, over artwork, or in entryways that add a soft ambient glow. And while you're at it, I would also ditch the harsh, bright white light bulbs. Swapping in soft white or Edison style bulbs makes your space feel 10 times cozier and way more expensive. Lighting should always feel like a vibe and always feel cozy, and you don't want to ruin it by using light bulbs that are too cool toned and make the space feel too bright. Tip number 4 is to extend your kitchen cabinets all the way up to the ceiling, and this upgrade made the biggest difference in our kitchen. By extending our cabinets all the way up, the whole space instantly felt more grand, more custom, and just way more high-end in general. We actually didn't replace our cabinets at all. First, we just raised our existing cabinets about 4 inches higher on the wall to give us more clearance on the countertops and to make the whole kitchen feel taller and more open. It also gave us extra breathing room for counter space and made the layout feel way less cramped. Keep in mind, this step is optional and totally not needed if you're worried about them being too high, but I personally love the way it opened up our back wall so we can leave this beautiful Zellage backsplash more exposed. Here's how we filled the little gap up top. We built a simple frame using 2x4s on the top of the cabinets, and we added a flat board across the front and then put crown molding on top of that to bridge the gap between the new top and the ceiling. After that, we painted it the same color as the cabinet so everything blends in and looks seamless and like one big cabinet, kind of like it was always meant to be there. It's a smart visual trick that adds height, depth, and a seriously custom finish, all without replacing your cabinets, because that is when the price starts adding up. We built this DIY patio shade for under $85. I think that outdoor spaces need love too, and this DIY shade was one of our favorite upgrades and probably our most viral too, and we did it all for $82 total. We started by digging 2 holes and setting 2 10-foot wood posts directly into the ground, and we used this Quikrete concrete mixed with water to keep the post in place. Super sturdy and perfect for a more permanent setup. Then we attached this white sun shade sail from Amazon using this hardware kit that's also from Amazon, and just like that, instant shade, privacy, and vibes. We got a shade that was about a foot less than the width of our patio, so the shade doesn't droop and we can pull it as tight as we want. But this was key to getting all of the wrinkles out of the shade and to get the sail super tight fitting. To finish it off and give the post a more decorative look, we cut the holes in the bottom of these tall resin planters using a Dremel tool, and then we slid them right over the top of the post. It adds a polished custom touch and hides the concrete base. Then we filled it with rocks, soil, and plants to soften the look and to tie the space together. Here's the full budget breakdown so you can see. Obviously the planters are optional at $22.96 each, but I think it is so worth it and really elevates the whole look. We also added these string lights too to give it even more of a decorative touch, and that just added so much to the ambiance of the space. This DIY completely changed how we use our patio, and it makes it feel like a more intentional outdoor room without the price tag, but still keeping all the functionality. Tip number 7 is to elevate your space with art prints. Art can completely change the vibe of the room, but you don't need to spend a fortune to make a statement. For this wall, I actually made these prints myself and then printed them off at Walgreens for just a few dollars each. But even if you're not designing your own prints, Etsy has tons of gorgeous digital downloads from modern abstracts to vintage landscapes that suit literally every style. I also have these prints available on my little Etsy shop too, so if you wanted to purchase these specific ones, here is a little coupon code so you can save 60% off of these prints, which actually comes down to less than $3 per art piece. It's such a fun and affordable way to play with new colors, moods, and layouts without committing to expensive originals. And for the frames, I just keep it budget friendly with finds from TJ Maxx, Amazon, or sometimes even thrift stores. I also like to display art prints like this on my TV. We don't have one of those fancy frame TVs, but sometimes I like to pretend I do by displaying a piece of art that matches the vibe of the room or correlates with the season I'm decorating for. One of the easiest ways to make your home feel expensive is by adding depth, texture, and interest to your walls. You can easily do this a few different ways, either using temporary or some more permanent options. In our powder bath, we mixed two techniques, a rich taupe-colored Venetian plaster surrounding all the walls, and this bold striped wallpaper on the main wall. This combo instantly gave the space this vintage, moody vibe, and it almost feels like a little European hotel bathroom. We use this regular wallpaper, but if you're renting or just want something a little bit more affordable, peel and stick is a great option. When you're applying the Venetian plaster, you want to layer some strokes over the top of each other and leave some a little bit more sheer and not as pigmented, so you're able to get a more two-toned finish in the end. The more layers you do with this stuff, the more the plaster would look like one solid color, so be careful not to overdo it if you want to see some slight dimension throughout the walls. Once the plaster is dry, you lightly sand any rough surfaces to smooth everything out and seal it with a clear wax or polyacrylic top coat to prevent the plaster from transferring and for that smooth, buttery finish. It's budget friendly, it's stunning, I love the look of this. You can get this Venetian plaster off Amazon. I'm using the color Rustic Taupe for this room, or if you want to save even more on cost, you can use this easy recipe to make it yourself. I use this recipe for the hood rails in our kitchen and for our fireplace as well. The recipe is super easy and makes it a little bit more affordable. You mix some joint compound with a little bit of water and your favorite flat paint color, and then you're also going to add some wheat paste or wallpaper paste in as well. We used a subtle ivory color here for the paint because we wanted a very light finish, but if you were going to make this and use a brown color, then you would use a flat brown paint color. Then you want to apply it with a drywall trowel. You can get this from your hardware store, and you just apply it in thin stroke like we did in the bathroom using the same layering technique. Some decorating advice is to add in some greenery. Real or faux, doesn't matter. Nothing makes a space feel more fresh and alive than a little greenery. I love using fresh plants and florals when I can. They instantly brighten up a room and add that organic, lived-in feel. But let's be real, not all of us have the time or the sunlight for plant parenting, so a more practical and budget-friendly option is going faux. This tree behind me is the Shady Lady from Target, and I'm obsessed. It adds height, texture, and just softens the whole space in general. Whether it's a small potted plant on a shelf, some eucalyptus in a vase, a big statement tree like this, or some florals on your coffee table, adding greenery is one of the easiest ways to bring the outdoors in and make your home feel more calm, natural, and cozy. Tip number 10 is wall molding. If there's one DIY that instantly makes each room feel custom, it is wall molding. We've added it both in our living room and in our primary bedroom, and it completely elevated both spaces. To save on cost, we actually skipped on the pricey pre-primed boards, and we just used these inexpensive wood furring strips instead. They were a little harder to work with, I will say that. Definitely required more sanding and a bit more patience, but they ended up costing us half as much, so I think it was worth it for us. But of course, pick and choose what you would rather do, pay more or work more. We framed out each panel with 2 pieces of a smaller decorative trim to give it that finished layered look. We nailed everything in and sanded the furring strips until they were super smooth. Then we filled the gaps, caulked the seams, and did one more light coat of sanding. Then we painted it all one color so it looked more built-in and intentional. For our living room, we just used picture frame molding, and this was even easier because no power tools were needed. I just used these miter shears, which are literally just like scissors that can cut a small wood piece, which was a lifesaver and saved us so much time. Whether you go traditional, modern, or somewhere in between, wall molding adds that architectural detail that makes your home feel thoughtfully designed without a major renovation budget. Layer some rugs and textures for a designer look. One of the easiest ways to make a space feel warm, curated, and expensive is layering your textures. We love layered rugs, like placing smaller vintage style rugs over a larger jute or natural fiber rug, or the opposite, like we did here in our upstairs loft. It not only makes your space feel more dimensional, but it's also a great budget hack if you're using rugs that you already have and the top rug that you want to use isn't big enough for your space. You can use a base rug that you already have or buy an affordable one and then splurge on a smaller statement piece to go on top. It's not just about the rugs though, bringing in different textures with pillows, throws, linen curtains, woven baskets, or even ceramic and wood accents. That mix of materials gives your home that designer feel where everything looks collected and intentional. The key is contrast. Mix rough with soft, warm with cool, and matte with subtle sheen. It adds richness without adding clutter. So if your space is feeling flat or a little too matchy-matchy, try layering in different textures. It's like cozying up your space and elevating it at the same time. I will say though, it's important to mix the textures with solid colors too, so it doesn't look too cluttered. Those are all my favorite budget-friendly home upgrades that make your home look so much more expensive than it actually is, without spending a fortune. Every single one of these tips has made a huge difference in our home, and I hope they inspire you to try 1, 5, or all in yours. I've linked everything I mentioned, plus some affordable alternatives down below, so be sure to check out the description for all the sources. And if you end up trying any of these, let me know. I'd love to hear what project you're working on.